1991 National Hockey League player Wayne Gretzky purchased a mint condition 1909 T206 Honus Wagner baseball card with a Piedmont cigarette brand back at a Sotheby's auction. The card became known as the Gretzky T206 Wagner to the public. The Professional Sports Authenticator SOT company graded this card a SOT near mint on their 10-point scale, the highest grade given to T206 Honus Wagner card. Bill Hughes was the official grader of the card, working for SOT at the time. Hughes admitted to knowing that the card had been altered when he graded it. The Gretzky T206 Wagner first came to attention in 1985 when small-time Hicksville, New York card collector Alan Ray contacted Bob Sufchuk, the owner of a Long Island sports memorabilia store, to arrange a potential $25,000 deal for his T206 Honus Wagner card. Bill Mastro, a sports memorabilia dealer who later founded Mastro Auctions and became one of the most powerful figures in the industry, heard the news and immediately jumped on the offer. Mastro, with the financial backing of friend Rob Lifson, sought to improve the offer and had Ray add 50 to 75 of his other T206 series cards, including the rare T206 Eddie Plank, into the deal. Ray, who later stated he had a money situation, agreed to Mastro's terms of the deal. The circumstances regarding how Ray came into possession of the Gretzky T206 Wagner have been shrouded in mystery. He tried to avoid answering any questions regarding the matter, but in a 2001 interview, claimed to have received it from a relative, whose name he did not disclose. 34. Inside the memorabilia community, there was speculation that the card had been cut from a printing sheet during the deal made with Mastro. Mastro has told colleagues in the memorabilia circuit that he purchased the card from a printer, which was not Ray's profession. Ray personally stated that Mastro might have been doing this to prevent others from trying to trace the card. Some also claim that Mastro bought the card from Savchuk, not Ray. After the transaction was completed, Mastro went back to his car and showed the Gretzky T206 Wagner to Lifson. Mastro offered one of the other T206 Wagner cards in his personal collection to Lifson as payment for the $25,000 that Lifson fronted him for the Gretzky T206 Wagner, claiming that Lifson could sell the lower quality one for $30,000 and make a quick $5,000 profit. Lifson was skeptical, but he took Mastro's word and accepted the deal, successfully selling this other Wagner card to New Jersey businessman Barry Halper for $30,000. Halper sold that card and 200 other baseball memorabilia items in 1998 to Major League Baseball for over $5 million. In 1987, Mastro sold the Gretzky T206 Wagner to Jim Copeland, a San Luis Obispo, California, sporting goods chain owner, for $110,000. With that transaction, there was a sudden renewed interest in baseball card collecting. As Lifson commented, the Copeland deal revitalized the industry and created an incentive to sell these great cards. Within 5 years, Copeland decided it was time to sell his card collection. He chose to sell his entire 873-piece collection in a single sale through Mastro. Mastro contacted Sotheby's, the renowned New York auction house, and asked them to accept the Copeland memorabilia collection on consignment. Sotheby's advertised Copeland's items as the Copeland collection of important baseball cards and sports memorabilia to attract hobbyists and other potential clients. The March 1991 auction attracted nearly 800 collectors who were interested in purchasing some of Copeland's rare memorabilia. The bidding prices far exceeded the pre-auction estimates, as a 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle card sold for $49,500, more than 3 times the initial pre-auction price estimate. Pre-auction estimates placed Copeland's T206 Honus Wagner at a price of $114,000. Within minutes of the opening bid for the T206 Wagner card, the highest bidder had put down $228,000, twice the pre-auction estimate. A bidding competition between Mike Gidwitz, Mark Friedland, and an unknown phone bidder ensued. Gidwitz dropped out of the competition when the bidding reached the $300,000 mark. As Friedland made each bid, the phone bidder would counter with a bid $5,000 or $10,000 higher. Friedland dropped out of the competition after the phone bidder countered with a $410,000 bid for the card. With Sotheby's 10% buyer's premium, the final price of the card came out to $451,000, equivalent to $846,575 in 2019, nearly 4 times the pre-auction estimate. The phone bidder was Wayne Gretzky, who purchased the card with advice and financial backing from his boss, Bruce McNall, the owner of the NHL's Los Angeles Kings. Copeland received around $5 million for the entire collection. The publicity coverage of the Sotheby's auction renewed interest in the hobby of sports memorabilia collecting. Mastro worked with Sotheby's for the next 4 years to facilitate sports memorabilia auctions and established himself as a leading card dealer in the industry. Illusionist David Copperfield used the popularity of the card as part of the magic trick on a TV specials. In a 1993 special, Copperfield had Gretzky sign the card using a reprint, of course. Then Copperfield proceeded to tear the card into 4 pieces, then restoring the card and magically removing the signature. Gretzky, who was not a big card collector, said he purchased the card because he thought the market would remain strong, thus making for a valuable investment. McNall orchestrated the plan to buy the card. In a 2005 interview, McNall stated his philosophy was, if you buy something that is absolutely the best in the world, you'd be okay because there is always another buyer for something at the top end. In 1995, Gretzky sold the card to Walmart and Treat Entertainment for $500,000, equivalent to $838,939 in 2019. The two companies intended to use the card as the grand prize in a promotional contest. The card was sent all across the United States as part of Walmart's plan to rejuvenate the baseball card market. On February 24, 1996, the 122nd anniversary of Wagner's birthday, the grand prize drawing for the card was held on CNN's Larry King Weekend. At around 9 p.m., Hall of Fame third baseman Brooks Robinson, one of King's guests on the show, pulled out the name of one Patricia Gibbs, a postal worker living in Hollywood, Florida. After spending hours unsuccessfully trying to contact Gibbs, King's staff finally got through to her phone and informed Gibbs of her prize. Treat Entertainment and Walmart gave the card to Gibbs a few weeks later at a Walmart store in Miramar, Florida. Gibbs could not afford the taxes on the card, so she decided to consign the card to an auction later on. She consigned the card to Christie's, a New York-based auction house better known for selling famous artworks. Michael Gidwitz, the same individual who battled with Gretzky and Mark Friedland for the card at the Copeland Auction in 1991, won the Christie's auction with a bid of $641,500 in 1996, equivalent to $1,045,755 in 2019. 4 years later, on July 5, 2000, Gidwitz partnered with eBay and Robert Edwards Auctions to start a 10-day online auction for the card. Robert Edwards Auctions, a division of Mastro, set up a registration system in which they proved prospective individuals before they actually made bids. These individuals had to wire a $100,000 deposit to escrow.com in order to be pre-approved to make bids for the card. On July 15th, the card was sold to Brian Sizable, a collector from California, for $1.265 million, equivalent to $1.878 million in 2019. In February 2007, the Associated Press announced that Sizable had sold the card privately and directly to an anonymous collector from Southern California for $2.35 million, equivalent to $2.898 million in 2019. Less than 6 months later, on September 6, 2007, SCP Auctions announced that the card had been sold once again to another anonymous collector for $2.8 million, equivalent to $3.5 million in 2019. The anonymous collector was later revealed to be Arizona Diamondbacks owner Ken Kendrick. Shortly after Gretzky's 1991 purchase, previously ignored allegations that the card had once been subject to alteration flared up again. This is when Gretzky approached the Professional Sports Authenticator (SOP) company to grade the card, resulting in the aforementioned site and MMT grading. Despite SOP company president David Hall's personal statement that the card was superb and a fantastic card in every way, a number of people in the memorabilia industry were not convinced that the card had not been altered at some point. Soon afterward, Alan Ray came back into the picture, claiming that he had proof the card had been doctored by Mastro at one point after the initial $25,000 trade in 1985. He had a photograph of the card taken before the transaction with Mastro and claimed that the card in the photo looked significantly different from the photo of Gretzky's card. He sent the comparison of the two photos to both McNall and Sotheby's, but never received a response back. Some memorabilia collectors have dismissed Ray's claims, saying that the photo hardly proves any doctoring was ever done on the card. On December 4, 2012, Mastro was indicted on federal fraud charges and entered a plea of not guilty. In 2013, Mastro pleaded guilty, having entered into a plea agreement with federal prosecutors and admitted to trimming the Honus Wagner card in the mid-1980s to increase its value. Mastro's plea agreement was rejected by a judge. In August 2015, Mastro was sentenced to 20 months in federal prison under a new plea agreement. Mastro was released in May 2017. A similar but an altered card, the Jumbo Wagner, also has UNMMT grade quality for the majority of the card, but the lower quality edges have not been trimmed, lowering it from NMMT to an overall grade of SOF 5, one of only 3, along with Mastro's trim card, rated SOF 5 or better, sold at a 2013 auction for $2,105,770.50.